Cody Rhodes just walked out of WWE after losing to Drew McIntyre in a 3 stages of hell match, and what I'm about to reveal is going to absolutely shock you because this isn't just another wrestler taking a break or going on vacation. This is Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, the man who left WWE, conquered the independent wrestling world, helped build AEW into a legitimate competitor, and then made the triumphant return that every wrestling fan dreamed about, now quitting the company again after suffering the most brutal, most devastating, most humiliating defeat of his entire career. And here's what makes this situation absolutely infuriating. Here's what should have you typing furiously in the comments right now. WWE orchestrated this entire thing. They set Cody up to fail. They brought him back, made him look like a star, gave him main event matches at WrestleMania, positioned him as the face of the company, and then they systematically destroyed him in front of the entire world just to prove a point. Drew McIntyre didn't just beat Cody Rhodes in that 3 stages of hell match. He demolished him. He broke him physically, mentally, and emotionally. And the way WWE booked this match, the way they structured the story, the way they allowed one of their biggest stars to be humiliated and then walk away, it represents everything that's wrong with how this company treats its talent, how they build people up just to tear them down, how they create stars and then destroy them the moment it serves their narrative. Let me take you through what happened in this 3 stages of hell match because if you didn't watch it, if you missed this absolute car crash of a main event, you need to understand just how badly Cody Rhodes was beaten and how devastating this loss truly was. A 3 stages of hell match, for those who might not know, is one of the most grueling stipulations in professional wrestling. It's 3 separate matches happening back to back with different rules for each stage, and the only way to win is to defeat your opponent in 2 out of the 3 falls. These matches are designed to test a wrestler's endurance, their willpower, their ability to overcome adversity and keep fighting when their body is screaming at them to quit. They're supposed to be evenly matched battles between 2 elite competitors who are so evenly skilled that it takes 3 different match types to determine who's truly better. But that's not what happened when Cody Rhodes faced Drew McIntyre. This wasn't an evenly matched contest. This wasn't 2 warriors going to war and leaving everything in the ring. This was a systematic destruction, a one-sided beatdown that should never have been allowed to happen, and the fact that WWE not only allowed it but actively booked it this way tells you everything you need to know about what they think of Cody Rhodes despite all their claims about him being the face of the company. The first stage was a traditional wrestling match, standard rules, win by pinfall or submission. From the opening bell, you could tell something was off. Cody Rhodes came out looking focused and determined, but there was something in his eyes, something that veteran wrestling observers immediately picked up on. He looked defeated before the match even started. Drew McIntyre, on the other hand, came out looking like an absolute monster. He was fired up, aggressive, talking trash, and from the moment that bell rang, he went after Cody with a viciousness that was honestly hard to watch. He threw Cody around the ring like a ragdoll. He hit him with devastating power moves that had the crowd gasping in shock. Every chop sounded like a gunshot. Every suplex shook the ring. And Cody, the man who has made a career out of fighting from underneath, out of overcoming the odds, out of never giving up no matter how badly he's being beaten, couldn't mount any significant offense. He tried. You could see him trying. But every time he started to build momentum, every time it looked like he might be turning the tide, Drew would shut him down with another brutal strike or devastating slam. The end of the first fall came after only 12 minutes, which for a 3 stages of hell match is shockingly quick. Drew McIntyre hit Cody with a Claymore kick out of nowhere, the same move that has finished countless opponents throughout his career, and Cody went down like he'd been shot. The referee counted to 3, and just like that, Drew was up 1-0. But here's what was so disturbing about this moment. When Drew's hand was raised after winning the first fall, when the announcement was made that he was ahead 1-0, Cody Rhodes didn't immediately get up and prepare for the second stage. He just laid there on the mat, staring up at the lights, looking completely broken. The referee had to check on him. Medical personnel started moving toward the ring. For a moment, it looked like the match might be stopped right there. But Cody eventually pulled himself up, waved off the medical staff, and signaled that he was ready to continue. The second stage was a street fight, which meant no disqualifications, no countouts, and weapons were legal. This should have been Cody's chance to even the score, to use the stipulation to his advantage, to get creative and find a way to overcome Drew's power advantage. Street fights are supposed to be the great equalizer where size and strength matter less than heart and determination and willingness to do whatever it takes to win. And Cody Rhodes has been in countless hardcore matches throughout his career. He knows how to use weapons. He knows how to brawl. He should have been able to turn things around in this stage. Except that's not what happened. The second stage was somehow even more brutal than the first. Drew McIntyre brought a steel chair into the ring and proceeded to absolutely destroy Cody with it. He hit him across the back so many times that you could literally see the welts forming on Cody's skin. He smashed the chair against Cody's legs, his arms, his ribs, targeting every part of his body with surgical precision. And when the chair finally bent and broke from the repeated impacts, Drew just grabbed another weapon. He pulled out a table from under the ring, set it up in the corner, and then launched Cody through it with such force that the table exploded into splinters. The sound of Cody's body crashing through that would echo throughout the entire arena, and the crowd, who had been cheering and chanting for Cody at the start of the match, fell into a shocked, horrified silence. Cody tried to fight back. There was a moment where he grabbed a kendo stick and started swinging wildly at Drew, landing a few shots that echoed through the arena and briefly gave the crowd hope that maybe, just maybe, Cody could turn this around. But Drew just absorbed those shots, smiled at Cody like the pain meant nothing, and then ripped the kendo stick out of his hands and snapped it in half over his knee. The message was clear. Nothing Cody could do would be enough to stop Drew McIntyre. Nothing would be enough to overcome the beating he was taking. The second fall ended when Drew hit a future shock DDT onto a pile of steel chairs, driving Cody's head into the metal with sickening impact, and then pinned him for the 3 count. 2 falls to 0. The match was over. Drew McIntyre had won the 3 stages of Hell match without even needing the 3rd stage. But here's where things get really disturbing. Here's where this goes from being just a decisive victory to something much darker and more sinister. Drew McIntyre didn't stop attacking Cody after the match was over. Even after the referee called for the bell, even after the announcement was made that Drew had won the match, he kept going. He grabbed another steel chair and was about to hit Cody with it again when officials and referees rushed the ring to pull him away. They had to physically restrain Drew, multiple people holding him back while he was screaming at Cody, telling him that he didn't belong in WWE, that he should go back to AEW, that he would never be the man that WWE needed him to be. And Cody, lying in the wreckage of broken tables and bent chairs, covered in bruises and welts and his own blood, just stared at Drew with this look of complete and utter defeat. Medical personnel rushed to check on Cody, and the cameras stayed on him even though WWE usually cuts away when someone is legitimately hurt. They wanted everyone to see this. They wanted the world to witness Cody Rhodes at his lowest point, broken and beaten in the middle of the ring, unable to even stand on his own power. They had to help him to the back, supporting his weight as he limped up the ramp with his head down, and the crowd, who had been behind Cody since the moment he returned to WWE, didn't know how to react. Some people were chanting his name, trying to show support. Others were just sitting in stunned silence, unable to process what they had just witnessed. And a few, and this is what really tells you how badly WWE damaged Cody's credibility with this booking, a few people were actually booing him for losing so decisively. The show went off the air with that image of Cody Rhodes being helped to the back, defeated and broken, and for a few hours, that's all anyone could talk about. Social media exploded with reactions ranging from shock to anger to confusion about why WWE would book their top babyface to get destroyed so completely. Wrestling journalists started speculating about what this meant for Cody's future, whether this was setting up some kind of redemption storyline or if WWE was actually turning on him and preparing to push him down the card. And then, about 3 hours after the show ended, the bomb dropped. Multiple reliable sources reported that Cody Rhodes had met with WWE management immediately after the show, had a heated conversation that lasted nearly an hour, and then walked out of the building with no intention of returning. At first, people thought this might be a work, another storyline designed to create buzz and get people talking. But then more details started emerging from people who were backstage during that meeting, people who heard raised voices and saw Cody leave the building looking absolutely devastated, and the story became very clear very quickly. Cody Rhodes had quit WWE. He was done. After everything he'd been through, after the journey of leaving the company in 2016 feeling undervalued and overlooked, after spending years proving himself on the independent scene and helping to create AEW, after making the emotional return to WWE that had fans crying tears of joy, after main eventing WrestleMania and having classic matches with Roman Reigns and other top stars, after positioning himself as one of the most popular wrestlers in the entire company, Cody Rhodes walked away. Because he couldn't accept being humiliated the way he was in that 3 stages of Hell match. And here's what makes this absolutely infuriating. Here's what should make every single person watching this video angry enough to leave a comment right now. WWE knew this would happen. They knew that booking Cody to lose this decisively, this brutally, this one-sidedly, would damage him beyond repair. They knew it would destroy his credibility, kill his momentum, and make it nearly impossible for him to recover and get back to the top of the card. And they did it anyway. Why? Because Cody Rhodes committed the ultimate sin in WWE's eyes. He dared to leave the company once before. He dared to prove that he could be successful without them. He dared to help create a competing promotion that has legitimately challenged WWE's monopoly on mainstream professional wrestling. And even though WWE brought him back, even though they acted like all was forgiven and gave him big matches and prominent positions on the show, they never forgot. They never truly forgave him for leaving. And the moment they decided it served their purposes, they destroyed him. This is the same pattern we've seen play out over and over again throughout WWE's history. They bring back a star who left the company, they make a big deal about the return, they use that person to generate buzz and sell tickets and get people talking, and then once the novelty wears off, once they've extracted all the value they can from that person's return, they bury them. They systematically dismantle everything that made that wrestler special, everything that made fans care about them, and they do it in a way that makes it almost impossible for that wrestler to recover. We saw it happen with Goldberg when he first returned. We saw it happen with Sting when he finally came to WWE after spending his entire career in WCW. We've seen it happen to countless wrestlers who dared to be successful outside of WWE and then came back thinking they would be valued and respected. Cody Rhodes should have known better. He should have seen this coming. But I think part of him genuinely believed that WWE had changed, that the company had evolved, that they would treat him differently because of everything he had accomplished and how much fan support he had. And for a while, it seemed like maybe he was right. Those first few months back were incredible. The matches were great. The storylines were compelling. The crowds were absolutely electric for everything Cody did. But WWE was just playing the long game. They were building him up specifically so they could tear him down more dramatically, so they could send a message to every other wrestler who might be thinking about leaving WWE to pursue opportunities elsewhere. The message is clear: you can leave if you want, you might even be successful for a while, but if you ever come back, we own you, and we will destroy you the moment it benefits us to do so. Let's talk about Drew McIntyre's role in all of this, because while WWE management deserves the majority of the blame for booking this match and this outcome, Drew is not innocent in this situation either. Drew McIntyre is a veteran wrestler who has been in this business long enough to know when a match is going too far, when the beating someone is taking is excessive and unnecessary. He was in that ring with Cody Rhodes. He felt how light Cody's offense was, how little resistance Cody was able to put up. He saw the look in Cody's eyes, the resignation and defeat that came over him as the match progressed. And Drew could have pulled back. He could have adjusted on the fly, worked lighter, made it look devastating without actually being as brutal as it was. That's what professional wrestlers do. They protect each other. They make things look real without actually hurting their opponent more than necessary. But Drew didn't do that. He went full force with everything. Every chair shot was stiff. Every slam was delivered with maximum impact. Every strike landed flush and hard. And after the match was over, after he'd already won decisively, he tried to continue the assault until officials pulled him away. Some people are going to defend Drew and say he was just following the script, just doing what WWE told him to do, just being a professional and executing the match as it was laid out. And maybe that's true. Maybe WWE specifically instructed him to work this stiff, to really hurt Cody, to make the beating look and feel legitimate. But that doesn't make it okay. Drew McIntyre had a choice. He could have refused. He could have said this goes too far and suggested alternatives that would tell the same story without actually injuring Cody or humiliating him to this degree. But he didn't, and that makes him complicit in what happened. There's also the element of jealousy and resentment that might be motivating Drew's actions here. Think about Drew McIntyre's career trajectory compared to Cody Rhodes. Drew was released by WWE years ago, went away, reinvented himself, became a huge star on the independent scene and in other promotions, and then returned to WWE where he eventually won the WWE Championship and had a solid run at the top. But despite all of that success, despite winning the world title, Drew never quite captured the same level of fan passion and emotional investment that Cody did the moment he walked back through WWE's doors. When Cody returned, it was treated like the second coming. Fans lost their minds. Social media exploded. It was one of the biggest wrestling stories of the year. Drew's return, while successful, didn't have that same magic, didn't generate that same level of excitement and emotional connection with the audience. So is it possible that Drew harbors some resentment toward Cody for that? Is it possible that he saw this match as an opportunity to prove he's better, to knock Cody down a few pegs, to show everyone that just because Cody gets big reactions doesn't mean he's actually the better wrestler? I think that's absolutely possible, and I think that resentment manifested in how stiff and brutal this match was, how Drew seemed to take genuine pleasure in dismantling Cody piece by piece. The look on his face after winning wasn't just satisfaction at a job well done. It was something darker, something that looked a lot like revenge. Now let's address what Cody Rhodes should do next, because walking out of WWE, while understandable given the circumstances, creates a massive question about his future. Where does he go from here? What are his options? The most obvious answer, and the one that everyone is already speculating about, is that he returns to AEW. He helped create that company. He was one of the original pillars, one of the EVPs, one of the faces that fans associated with AEW's identity and mission. And when he left AEW to return to WWE, it created a massive hole in that roster, a gap that has never really been filled. AEW would welcome Cody back with open arms. Tony Khan would probably give him whatever he wants in terms of creative control, position on the card, and contract terms. The fans would absolutely lose their minds if Cody showed up on Dynamite or at an AEW pay-per-view. But is that really the best move for Cody? Going back to AEW after being destroyed in WWE might feel like admitting defeat, like confirming WWE's narrative that he doesn't belong at the top of the industry's biggest company. It might undermine everything Cody was trying to prove by returning to WWE in the first place, which was that he could succeed at the highest level, that he could be the face of WWE, that leaving the company originally wasn't a mistake but rather a necessary step in his evolution as a performer and a character. Running back to AEW after getting beaten down in WWE sends the message that he couldn't hack it, that he wasn't good enough, that WWE was right to destroy him the way they did. On the other hand, Cody Rhodes doesn't have anything left to prove to anyone. He's already accomplished more in his career than most wrestlers even dream about. He's won championships in multiple promotions. He's had classic matches with legends and current stars alike. He's been part of revolutionary moments in wrestling history. If he wants to go back to AEW where he'll be appreciated, where he'll have creative freedom, where he won't have to worry about politics and corporate agendas undermining his work, then he should absolutely do that without any shame or hesitation. The idea that going to AEW is somehow a step down from WWE is outdated and frankly insulting to all the incredible work that AEW has done to establish itself as a legitimate alternative with high-quality wrestling and compelling storylines. There's also the possibility that Cody takes some time off, steps away from wrestling completely for a while to heal physically and mentally from this ordeal. That beating he took in the 3 stages of Hell match was legitimate. Those chair shots weren't worked. Those bumps through tables were real. His body needs time to recover. And beyond the physical damage, there's the psychological and emotional toll of being humiliated on that level, of having your dreams crushed and your credibility destroyed by a company you trusted. Taking a few months away from the spotlight, spending time with family, reflecting on what he wants from the next phase of his career, that might be the healthiest and smartest option even if it's not the most exciting one for fans who want to see what happens next right away. Some people have suggested that Cody could return to the independent scene, go back to his roots, work for smaller promotions where he has complete control over his character and his matches and doesn't have to deal with corporate interference or political games. That's an interesting idea, and it would certainly allow Cody to reconnect with the pure love of wrestling that sometimes gets lost when you're working for major promotions with all their rules and restrictions and agendas. But realistically, after being a main event star in WWE and one of the founders of AEW, it's hard to imagine Cody being satisfied working high school gyms and independent shows for a fraction of the money and exposure he's been getting. That's not a knock on the independent scene, which is vital and important and where incredible work happens every single night. It's just an acknowledgement that once you've reached a certain level in this business, it's very difficult to go backward. The nuclear option, and this is pure speculation but something worth considering, would be Cody Rhodes walking away from wrestling entirely. Retiring, pursuing other opportunities in Hollywood, in business, in whatever other interests he might have outside of the ring. He's already done some acting. He's charismatic and articulate and could potentially have a career in entertainment beyond wrestling. And after being chewed up and spit out by WWE not once but twice now, after giving everything to this business and having companies use him and discard him when it suited their purposes, maybe Cody decides that enough is enough. Maybe he decides that his health, his family, his long-term well-being are more important than continuing to subject himself to an industry that clearly doesn't value loyalty or artistry or the well-being of its performers as much as it values maintaining control and sending messages to anyone who dares to challenge the established order. Whatever Cody decides to do, one thing is absolutely certain. WWE screwed up massively with how they handled this situation. They had one of the most popular, most talented, most valuable wrestlers in the entire industry, someone who could have been the face of their company for years to come, someone who had credibility with both hardcore wrestling fans and casual audiences, someone who could work with anyone and make them look good, someone who understood character work and storytelling at a level that very few performers ever achieve. And they destroyed him. They threw it all away to make a point, to remind everyone that WWE is in control, that nobody is bigger than the company, that leaving WWE and being successful elsewhere is an unforgivable sin that will eventually be punished no matter how much time passes or how triumphant your return seems. This is exactly why wrestlers are increasingly looking at alternatives to WWE, why so many talented performers are choosing to sign with AEW or stay on the independent scene or explore opportunities in Japan or Mexico rather than pursuing the traditional dream of making it to WWE. Because WWE has proven over and over again that they don't value their talent as human beings or as artists. They value them as assets to be used and exploited and discarded when they're no longer useful or when using them serves some larger political or strategic purpose. The Cody Rhodes situation is just the latest and most dramatic example of this pattern, but it's far from the only one. And every wrestler paying attention right now, every performer who might be considering signing with WWE or re-signing with WWE when their current contract expires, has to be looking at what happened to Cody and asking themselves if they really want to put themselves in a position where the company can do the same thing to them. I want to hear from you in the comments right now. Do you think Cody Rhodes made the right decision quitting WWE after this loss? Where should he go next? Do you think WWE deliberately destroyed him or was this just a poorly thought out storyline that went wrong? Do you think Drew McIntyre went too far in that match or was he just doing his job? And most importantly, Does this change how you view WWE as a company and whether you want to continue supporting them after seeing how they treated one of their biggest stars? Leave your thoughts below, share this video with every wrestling fan you know, because this is a conversation that needs to happen. WWE needs to understand that fans are paying attention, that we see what they're doing, and that there are consequences for treating wrestlers this way. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you're as angry about this situation as I am, smash the like button, subscribe for more wrestling content that tells the truth, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any updates on where Cody Rhodes ends up and what happens next in this story. This is far from over, and I'll be here covering every development as it happens. See you in the next video.